My name is Grace. And 5 years ago, my husband did something that destroyed me, but didn't break me. They said I'd never recover. They said I'd never trust again. They said I'd never smile the way I used to. They were wrong. This is my story. And if you've ever been betrayed by someone you loved with your whole heart, this is for you too. I met Daniel when I was 26. I was working as a school teacher in Lagos, and he was an architect.
Tall. Charming.
The kind of man who opened doors and remembered your favorite flower. We met at my friend's wedding. He asked me to dance, and I swear from that moment I knew my life was about to change. We dated for 2 years. Beautiful years. The kind of love where you talk until 3 a.m. and still don't want to hang up the phone. The kind where you dream together about the house you'll build, the children you'll raise, the life you'll create. We got married in December. It was a small ceremony, just family and close friends. My mother cried. His father gave a speech about how proud he was. I wore my grandmother's pearl earrings. I was the happiest woman alive. For the first 3 years, life was everything I'd dreamed of. Daniel worked hard, I taught at the school, and we were saving to build our house. We'd sit on our small balcony on Sunday evenings, drinking tea, planning our future. We wanted 3 children. We'd already picked out names, Michael, Sophia, and Joshua. I thought I knew this man. I thought we were building something unshakable. I was so wrong. Little things I told myself didn't mean anything. Daniel started coming home late. Traffic, he'd say. I had a meeting with a difficult client. He stopped reaching for my hand when we walked. He stopped asking about my day. When I cooked his favorite meals, he'd barely look up from his phone. You're imagining things, Grace, I told myself. Marriage has seasons. This is just a rough patch. But then came the night that changed everything. It was a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesday was my late day at school, parent-teacher conferences. I usually got home around 8 p.m. But that Tuesday, the conferences ended early. I got home at 6 p.m. instead. I walked into our apartment and heard voices. Laughter. A woman's laughter. My blood went cold. I pushed open the bedroom door and there he was. My husband. In our bed. With a woman I'd never seen before. She screamed. He jumped up. And I just stood there. Frozen. Like my brain couldn't process what my eyes were seeing. Grace, Daniel started, pulling on his clothes. Grace, I can explain. But I didn't wait to hear it. I turned around and walked out. I don't remember getting to my sister Miriam's house. I don't remember the drive. I just remember collapsing in her arms and screaming like something had been ripped out of my chest. Because that's exactly what had happened. That night, he came to my sister's house, but she wouldn't let him come in. The next day, Daniel showed up at Miriam's house. He was crying, begging, saying all the things cheaters say. It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. I love you, Grace. Only you. Please, we can work through this. And the worst part? A part of me wanted to believe him. Because loving someone doesn't just stop when they hurt you. It's not like a light switch. It's messy and painful and confusing. But Miriam pulled me aside. Grace, she said, looking me straight in the eye. I love you. And I need to tell you something you don't want to hear. This wasn't the first time. My stomach dropped. What? She took a breath. I've been hearing things. From his coworker's wife. From people at church. Grace, he's been seeing her for 8 months. And before her, there was someone else. The room started spinning. 8 months. While I was planning our future, he was building a second life. While I was dreaming of our children, he was with other women. Everything I thought I knew, it was all a lie. I looked at Daniel standing in Miriam's living room, still crying, still begging. And I felt something inside me die. Not love, that would take longer to die, but hope.
Trust.
The belief that our marriage meant what I thought it meant. Leave, I said quietly. Grace, please. Leave, I screamed. Get out.
Get out.
Get out.
He left.
And I broke into a million pieces. The next few months were the darkest of my life. I couldn't get out. The shame was heavy on me. And the pain? I couldn't eat. I lost 15 pounds. My clothes hung off me like I was wearing someone else's body. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them together. I heard her laughter. I saw his face when he looked at her. I stopped going to church. I stopped seeing friends. I called in sick to work so often, they told me to take a leave of absence. I spent my days in Miriam's guest room, staring at the ceiling, wondering what was wrong with me. Was I not pretty enough? Not exciting enough? Not enough? Daniel called every day for the first 2 weeks. I never answered. Then the calls stopped. And somehow, that hurt even more. Like he'd moved on while I was still drowning. My mother came to visit. She sat on the edge of my bed and said, Grace, you're letting him destroy you. He already took your marriage. Don't let him take your life too. But I didn't know how to stop drowning. I didn't know how to breathe again. Then one Sunday, Miriam dragged me out of bed. We're going somewhere, she said. I don't want to. I don't care what you want.
Get dressed.
She drove me to a church across town. Not our usual church, a different one. Bigger. Full of strangers. There was a women's healing conference happening. The topic was, Rediscovering the Woman You Are. I sat in the back row, arms crossed, angry that Miriam had forced me to come. But then the speaker, a woman named Pastor Rose, started talking. And it was like she was telling my story. She talked about her husband's affair, about how she'd wanted to die, about how she'd blamed herself, about how she'd spent a year in darkness, convinced she'd never be whole again. But then, she said, I realized something. His betrayal said everything about him and nothing about me.
His choices were his sin to carry.
Not mine. Something cracked open inside my chest. For the first time in months, I cried, not out of pain, but out of release. Because I'd been carrying his sin. I'd been punishing myself for his choices. And I needed to put it down. My fellow women, have you been blaming yourself for your partner's betrayal? It's time to let the burden down. It's not yours to carry. It is not your shame. After that conference, things started to change. Slowly. So slowly I almost didn't notice at first. Miriam found me a therapist, a Christian counselor named Mrs. Patricia. I went every Tuesday. At first, I just cried. For weeks, all I did was cry. But Mrs. Patricia was patient. She never rushed me. She just listened. And then, slowly, she started asking questions. Grace, who were you before Daniel? What made you happy when you were younger? What dreams did you have before marriage? I realized I didn't know. I'd spent so much of my life trying to be the perfect girlfriend, then the perfect wife, that I'd forgotten who Grace was. So I started remembering. I used to paint. Watercolors. I'd loved it in university, but stopped because serious adults don't have time for hobbies. Mrs. Patricia gave me homework. Paint something. Anything. I bought a small watercolor set from the art store. That weekend, I sat on Miriam's balcony and painted the sunset. It was terrible. The colors ran together. The sky looked like a bruise. But for 2 hours, I didn't think about Daniel. I didn't think about the betrayal. I just created something. I kept painting. Every weekend. Sunsets. Flowers. The view from my classroom window. I went back to work. The kids welcomed me back with handmade cards. One little girl, sweet Amanda, hugged me and said, Teacher Grace, we missed you. And I realized I'd missed me too. I joined the women's group at the new church. Every Wednesday evening, we'd meet, a circle of women who'd all been broken in different ways. Betrayal, abuse,
Loss. Grief.
we'd pray together, cry together, laugh together. And slowly, week by week, I started feeling like a person again. Not the old Grace. That woman was gone forever. But a new Grace. Stronger, wiser, scarred but not destroyed. One Saturday, about 18 months after everything fell apart, I was at the art supplies store buying more paint. I was standing in the watercolor section, trying to decide between cerulean blue and cobalt blue, when someone said, "The cerulean is better for skies. More natural." I turned around.
A man.
Maybe 40. Warm eyes. Kind smile. Holding a sketchbook.
Thanks, I said.
"I'm still learning." "We all are," he said. "I'm Marcus, by the way." Grace. We talked for 20 minutes in that art store. About painting. About color theory. About how art had saved him when his wife died 2 years earlier. "I'm sorry," I said quietly. "Thank you," he replied. "It was cancer. We had 3 good years knowing it was coming. I'm grateful we got to say goodbye." There was something about him. A gentleness. A sadness that matched mine. He asked if I'd like to get coffee sometime.
Talk more about art.
I hesitated. "Just coffee," he said gently. "As friends. No pressure." "Okay," I said. "Just coffee." We met for coffee the next Saturday. Then the Saturday after that. Then Wednesday evenings after my women's group. Marcus became my friend first. We'd sit in cafes for hours, talking about everything. Art, faith, loss, healing. He never pushed. Never rushed. He just showed up.
Consistently. Kindly.
When I finally told him about Daniel, about the betrayal, about how broken I'd been, he listened without judgment. "Do you still love him?" Marcus asked. I thought about it.
Really thought about it.
"I don't know," I said honestly. "But I know I don't want him back. And that's enough." 6 months later, Marcus asked if he could take me to dinner. "A real date this time," he said, nervous. I said yes. Not because I was trying to replace Daniel. Not because I was trying to prove something. But because I was ready. Ready to trust again. Ready to try again. Ready to believe that one man's betrayal didn't mean all men were the same. 2 years after I walked out of my marriage, Daniel reached out. He sent a long email. Pages and pages. He said he'd been in therapy. That he'd joined a men's accountability group at his church. That he'd been sober for a year. I hadn't even known he'd been drinking. He said he was sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. He said he'd destroyed the best thing in his life, and he understood if I never forgave him. But he wanted me to know.
It was never about me.
It was always about his brokenness. I read that email 3 times. And I felt peace. Not because his apology fixed anything. Not because it erased the pain. But because I realized I didn't need his apology to move forward. I'd already moved forward. I wrote back. Just a few lines. "Daniel, I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. I hope you find healing. I hope you become the man you're meant to be. But my life is no longer connected to yours. I wish you well.
Goodbye." And I meant it.
I sent the email, closed my laptop, and went for a walk with Marcus. We held hands as we walked through the park, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and pink. "You okay?" Marcus asked. "Yeah," I said. And I realized I was telling the truth. I really am. Today, I'm 34 years old. Marcus and I got married last year. It was a small ceremony, just family and close friends. I wore a simple white dress and carried wildflowers. It was nothing like my first wedding. It was better. Because I wasn't a girl dreaming of a fairy tale anymore. I was a woman who'd walked through fire and come out stronger. We don't have children yet. We're thinking about it. Maybe adoption. Maybe biological. We're not in a rush. Because I've learned something important. Your value isn't in your role as someone's wife or someone's mother. Your value is in who you are. I still paint. Every weekend. Marcus and I set up easels in our living room and paint together. Sometimes in silence. Sometimes while music plays. I still go to therapy. Once a month now, just for maintenance. Mrs. Patricia says I'm one of her success stories. I still lead the women's healing group at church. Every Wednesday, I sit in that circle and share my story with women who are where I was, broken, hurting, convinced they'll never be whole again. And I tell them what I wish someone had told me. You will survive this. Not because you're strong, but because you're stronger than you know. You will heal. Not quickly. Not easily. But you will heal. And one day, you'll wake up and realize you went a whole day without thinking about him. And then a whole week. And then a whole month. And you'll realize, he doesn't own your story anymore. You do. My name is Grace. 5 years ago, my husband's betrayal nearly destroyed me. But I'm still here. I'm still standing. And I'm more whole now than I ever was when I was trying to be perfect for someone who didn't deserve me. If you're watching this and you're in that dark place right now, the place where you can't eat, can't sleep, can't imagine ever smiling again, please hear me. This is not the end of your story. This is just the chapter where you discover how strong you really are. And trust me, you are so much stronger than you know. If this story touched you, please leave a comment below. Tell me, what helped you heal? Or if you're still healing, what do you need to hear right now? We're all in this together. And your story matters. Subscribe for more stories of healing, strength, and hope. And remember, you are not alone.